Welcome back to the Deep Digger Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew. My other host right over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Drop some comments below. Let us know your thoughts. We are going into this week's AP Top 25 ranking for college football.
Yeah, make sure you check out our playoff rankings video where we go in depth about the top 12 to 14 teams. But let's talk about everyone who they're playing this week on this list. We have Oregon. They're an off week. Got Washington next week. Ohio State, Indiana is the big matchup everyone's talking about this week. Who do you got? I saw last I checked Indiana plus 12 against Ohio State. Kind of want to take that action. And see if they can hang around.
Isn't that pretty ridiculous that we are talking about a team as plus 12 underdogs being the number 5 team in the nation? That's ridiculous. Give me Ohio State, hands down. I think that they blow them out. I think that and all week we've been hearing like just loser talk from the Indiana fans, from like Big Ten apologists about how they're when they lose, it's going to be like, oh, just an excuse to get them out of the playoff because it's little Indiana. It's like, dude, you guys have been pounding your chest this entire time saying that we're a good team, we deserve to be here, all this stuff, right? And then you have your opportunity to go out there and prove it, and it's like, oh, well, maybe we should forfeit, maybe we should sit our quarterback so he doesn't get hurt. We'd still get in the playoff anyway. Just go out there and play the game. Like, what are we talking about here? So Ohio State.
Yeah, I just think too, like this could be for Indiana's season right here. They have to put up a good fight to just stay looking good in the playoff committee's eyes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's not like a high bar that the playoff committee has even set for you. You're number 5 in the playoff ranking as well. And they've told you, like, we will reward you even if you lose. So your job is just to not get blown out. Like, what is so hard about that? Just don't get blown out. You're supposedly a good team. Go out and not get blown out.
And then I think what's underrated is these matchups for the 3 and 4 team, Texas taking on Kentucky, Penn State versus Minnesota. I think both these teams, Kentucky and Minnesota, have looked good at times this year, and you can't really overlook them. Like Minnesota, I think can put up some points, and Penn State's offense, we know, isn't that explosive. Kentucky's defense can be really aggressive and stingy, and Texas offensive line a question mark. So, which team do you think could be in the most danger between these two this week?
I would say Texas is sitting on 2 landmines for this week and next week. This week at Kentucky, or this week versus Kentucky, next week against Texas A&M. I think both of those are very losable games for Texas because, as we said before, Kentucky can get after it. I mean, they proved it against Ole Miss earlier in the season, and this Texas team, we've seen that their biggest weakness is that offensive line. We've seen both Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning just get smoked by that Georgia defense. I think that's the bigger of the two, if I'm going to be honest.
And then the matchup we've had circled for weeks: Army, Notre Dame. Thank you for your service. Please prove that Notre Dame is not real this season and knock them off. Let's get Army in the playoff.
Please, 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 please. I'm so excited for this game. I mean, this is one that we've been talking about for like 5 or 6 weeks now. Like I'm just chomping at the bit to get to this. Army coming off, I believe, a bye, right? So have an extra week to game plan and know what you're getting into. Realistically, Notre Dame does have a good defense. So on offense. I think that's going to be the biggest test again. Is can Army put up points against this Notre Dame team? If so, then I think they could put up points against anybody in college football at all.
Yeah, Army, I think, unveiling some secret new unis in this one. I saw navies that look sick. So I think Army's going to, show out on the field in their unis and in the scoreboard. Uh, Alabama at number 7 taking on Oklahoma. I mean, at this point, Oklahoma just trying to save some face on the season. Georgia, easy matchup against UMass. Ole Miss, Florida. Florida has been looking a little bit better in recent weeks. Any, worried about Ole Miss, losing one right here?
I mean, you've got to be. I mean, realistically, this is a Florida team that you're going to the swamp. This Florida team last week just flexed on LSU and made them look pedestrian. They've got to be like, okay, well, Billy Napier has his job secured. DJ Lagway knows that he's going to be the quarterback moving forward. He would like to announce that he's here and that he's someone to be reckoned with moving forward. I think that this Ole Miss team does have a little bit of troubles on their hands with Florida.
Yeah, especially with Lane Kiffin, where sometimes he just, doesn't get he's not on top of it with the clock management or managing the situations correctly. And like we've seen them lose to teams that are worse than Florida this season. So, well, it's Florida
Yeah,
right now who's like kind of putting it all together with DJ Lagway.
and they have 8 sacks last week against, I mean, LSU. Obviously, they have their, issues offensively, but I think that's gonna be the main takeaway from Ole Miss is, can Jackson Dart get out of the pocket? Can he make things happen? I think he's a much better athlete than Garrett Nussmeier, and so I think that's the one advantage that Ole Miss has on that front.
All right, and then we got Tennessee, Miami, Boise. SMU takes on Virginia this week, and they're looking to stay hot and stay atop, try to get up on that ACC against BYU, or not BYU, fucking
Miami.
Miami. So that's something to watch right here. Can SMU stay in that area and try to get top on the ACC?
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. It's just that race between SMU now and the rest of the ACC. SMU is in the number 1 spot for the ACC, even though they're not ranked higher than Miami. They still actually are above because they don't have any conference losses and they could win out. So this is gonna be an interesting spot. Can you just stay ahead? Can you keep it trucking? We'll see.
Yeah, from 13 to 18 here, like these are all interesting teams. I think these have been really good storylines going through the whole season. You got BYU, they take on Arizona State, which I think you can't really knock
Oh,
this
red
matchup.
hot.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Texas A&M low key worried about Auburn. Okay, Colorado against a hot Kansas team, where Colorado is trying to win the Big 12 against BYU and go to the playoff. Clemson wins a nail biter last week against Pitt on a last second Klubnik run, and then Army with Notre Dame. So, which team are you most looking forward to watching this week?
Most looking forward to watching. I'm interested to see how BYU bounces back. I mean, they're going up against a red hot Arizona State team that has just been puffing their chest the last few weeks. And BYU just took their first loss. We've seen it with a couple of these other late undefeated teams where they lose their first one and then they just fall off a cliff. Iowa State, Pittsburgh, teams like that. Is BYU going to be the same, or are they going to bounce back and be like, hey, you know what? We took one hit. That doesn't mean it's going to ruin our season. We could still win this. Let's go out and do it. So I'm interested in that.
I'm hyped for Colorado, Kansas this week. I mean Colorado's been fireworks all season and the Big 12 in general, but this is where a Kansas team, they're feeling confident, they're feeling great. They want to ruin more people's seasons, and they're already talking back and forth. They're John between the corner, Kobe Bryant and Travis Hunter. I think Kansas wants to be the team that comes in and shuts up the loudest team in the country.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have their opportunity here. I mean, they've done it a couple of times already this season, and they would love to have another feather in their cap.
Yeah, and then imagine what they're building going into next season. If you beat Colorado now and you have 3 quality wins in a row going into the end of the season, think of the recruits you can come back with next season and be like, all right, well, we can compete in this conference.
Yeah, but it also has to be so disappointing for Kansas because they had the same thing last year coming into this season. A little bit of buzz. Hey, we could be the dark horse in the Big 12, and they came out flat. And it's like, why did we do that? We need to go out and fix this. So hopefully they do it this offseason.
All right. And then we have South Carolina at 19. Would the South Carolina have any chance to sneak back into the playoffs? It's kind of too little too late for them, right?
100% no. They're done.
And then Tulane climbing the board even further. Next week they play Memphis, and I really like this Memphis team. There was a week where they put up like 50 points or something. They have a solid offense. The defense is the defense is, I think someone said, Swiss cheese. Uh, so it could be a pretty good explosive game there. Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State clinging to the top 25 here against Utah.
I think a lot of people do like Tulane. I think they're a very good group of 5 school. I think there is some buzz about, like, is there a scenario where Tulane still gets into the playoff along with Army? I don't know, but we'll see.
And then to finish off the list, UNLV gets back on the top 25. They have a sneaky good San Jose State team who, they brought it they brought it all against Boise State, and they were gonna go up 3 scores early in that, and then it started to fall apart. Illinois takes on Rutgers. That could be a fun matchup. Washington State, Oregon State, Battle of the Pac-2, uh, really showcasing who's gonna be the top dog going into the rebuild of the Pac-12 here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that UNLV one. I think that's going to be just high flying. I could see that being like a 55-53 matchup. Like, I think that one's going to be all offense.
Yeah, Friday night, 7 Pacific. So that's pretty good. Get out of work, get ready for some Saturday morning football with UNLV San Jose State.
That's a fun matchup for sure.
And then Missouri's hanging on pretty close. LSU's out, Vandy. Yeah, there's a lot of teams getting votes right now. So
I mean, it's got to be like crappy if you're the ACC and your biggest win is Louisville and they're not even ranked right now at this point. Like, that's got to like age like milk. You got to be like, oh, like what can we do to really boost our season? Like, these other teams are not helping us out here. Even the Pittsburgh not being ranked is crazy.
Yeah,
the ACC was so down bad this season.
Well, the fact that Pittsburgh was undefeated for so long and now they're not even ranked. How important is it for some of these teams to get back into the ranking before the end of the season, just to have that kind of outlook going into recruiting?
Oh, it's got to be huge. I mean, even if you're a team like LSU, if we can get back into the rankings, at least it's like, hey, we had a winning season, we're bowl eligible, and we're ranked number 23 in the nation. That's something that you can like, I'm not going to get fired over. You know what I mean? And so I think it's really important for these prestige teams. And I think it's even more important for these non-prestige teams is like Louisiana Lafayette. If they were to get in there, if Vanderbilt was supposed to get in there, like I think there's still a lot to fight for moving forward, especially how we're seeing the world today, which is realistically, there are still like 20 teams fighting for playoff contention. And so you're just setting yourself up for next season. And I think that there is no throwaway games in college football. You still need to work, and you're working towards something every single week.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing too is the previous season ranking is going to help you next year, because look at all the teams at the top right now. Notre Dame, Miami, Missouri for the longest time was up there. Starting off with the higher ranking is going to be crucial to try to make the playoff the next season, because you're going to drop a few games. You need to be close enough within striking distance to get back in that top 12.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen it is hard to go undefeated, even if you are Indiana. Like, no, like, but seriously, it is hard to go undefeated. You're probably going to drop a game. Where do you drop that game, and how highly were you ranked before that drop? I think that's huge. And then what time of like the season you drop it is also crucial as well. But yeah, I mean, all of these things help you for your program. Nothing is just, oh, take it and throw it away. Everything is going to come back to you.
Yeah, no tanking in college football.
Yep.
All right. That's everything we got for this week. We'll see you next week. And yeah, we'll be here talking college football.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you later.